What's up, StarCraft fans? Today we have a new applicant for the tier list discussions. His name is Pidgeot, and he will play the solo portion as Zagara on Donny Vermilion. So let's get started. Again, he has chosen Donny Vermilion. He is level 512, and he is in the Cobra today. Pidgeot, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Barely awake.
We gotta make
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, it's a little late over here, but you know what? Got some StarCraft. It'll be fun. We have to make sure we pick the best map in the game, otherwise it's gonna be a problem. Right?
Exactly.
If we don't have Donnie, just what are we doing?
What are we doing? Exactly.
So,
evil things.
So what I wanted to do for fun this time, like I know, watch a couple of the other apps, really good. But what I wanted to do is one, pick the best map, but two, my other favorite series from you, to be honest, like for CTG, was actually the low APM series. I won't go into too much detail, but I had some like problems with my fingers now. Used to be pretty good in terms of APM, but now I'm at like maybe 50 APM on a good day, just as I kind of have some my fingers are recovering. But the cool thing is with Zagara, you don't really need a lot of APM. So that's actually one of the things I want to really showcase today, hopefully, as long as I don't mess up. Just to kind of show that, hey, you know what? You don't need that high PM. And that series you had of the low APM commanders, honestly, I enjoyed it just because of that. You can still enjoy the game. You just got to know what you're doing, know the map. And as soon as you know that, honestly, you can get by with most commanders pretty easily.
Low APM is Zagara.
Now, of course, if I mess up, I'm kind of like not making a point there, but fingers crossed we won't die there.
So I'm guessing Hero Solo? Scourge Queen.
So what we want to do, I know we have a Rainer here, typical teammate, not even farming his minerals. What I want to do is make sure he doesn't die. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a couple hatcheries over there, because I'm going to need them anyways. So that way, at least if I'm going to lose something, I'll lose a hatchery or two. Why not?
It appears the receding lava has unearthed
the double
some
spawning pool
crystals.
build?
With any luck, workers will get them to the stabilizer quickly. The first crystal has been turned in, putting a little more
Triple
time
spawning
on
pool
what
build?
I'm calling the countdown to
I may or may not have just built a second spawning pool. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel that. Totally meant to do that. I'm going to show you can even mess up. Clearly the plan.
Oh my god. I love this guy already. By the way, I'm muted on his chat, so he doesn't hear me speaking. You guys part of letting him do the talking.
So the cool thing with this map, and honestly most maps in the game, is they follow a lot of like common patterns. And I'm sure a lot of you watching CTG's channel, you'll see that. I know in Temple of the Past, like you'll see CTG and a lot of his like teammates just kind of just show up right at the base, or right at like the things as they spawn. So what you can really do here, you know the first one's going to come left, some of the later crystals are going to be on the like right side of the map, things like that, just to kind of really help make your job a little bit easier.
Estimates the planet has 4 minutes remaining. Let's see if you're right, Harry. Looks like the lava has fully receded. Can the commander's workers make up for the lost?
So the one comp I'm hoping I don't get is Zergling Ground. Not that they're really going to be an issue in any way, it's just since I'm doing solo, Zerglings are just annoying. They're a little fast, they're going to get to the base really quick. I want to just make sure that I have enough time to react. Again, slow APM, don't necessarily need it to be too quick. So I just want to make sure that I have enough time just to get there. When there's Zerglings, I can go white before I even get there, especially if the lava's flying over some, like an Overlord dropling and they're just running around. That's always going to be annoying.
Raiders roll.
You see the Hyperion flying over my base? You ever had that feeling you're being watched? Kind of getting that feeling right now. It's a little creepy. Must be a Terran thing. Fun fact, when I play solo, I actually really enjoyed Terrans. Terrans were probably my first race. They're really fun.
This guy should start his own YouTube thing. Honestly, he's hilarious.
He's flying around like a little heart pattern. It's adorable.
Enemies headed for our base.
The other thing you want to do is Sagara again for those low APM things, especially with this prestige. Although I don't have Sagara, my Scourge Nest and my Baneling Nest are giving me a bunch of free units, so have some extra supply open, start your early upgrades, and look, I'm not even looking and it's just taking care of itself. Like, it's pretty convenient in that sense. So now what's going to happen is the lava goes up, it's going to release a couple crystals, but now I'm kind of in a position where I can go clear the expansions. I know I could technically take CTG's base since he's not here, but for the sake of just like the solo, I want to pretend that I have a teammate here that's maybe just not being very helpful. Just like a normal co-op game, you know.
As quickly as it surges, the lava recedes. Now it's up to the workers to reach those new crystal formations in time.
I didn't notice that.
Breaking news. The enemy forces are attempting to stop the commander's workers. We'll have more as the situation develops.
And the cool thing with StarCraft, like especially on Brutal, like not necessarily with the mutations, because that obviously changes things up. But with low APM, I really do think you can get by on most maps pretty easily. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a prestige or a character that's going to give you a super hard time. Yeah, some's going to be a lot harder than others. But as long as you have like a good understanding of the game and what's going on, it's usually doable. I'm not really too concerned with that as an overall thing. Like right now, I'm just like A-moving, because I don't want to do anything special or like a lot of micro intentionally, because the intent is to show that you can do this. And most maps relatively pretty smoothly.
He's about to be surprised.
Again, hopefully I don't eat my words in the like 5 minutes or so when I get like when I get caught off guard by something. But let's hope that's not the case.
There's no way making these Zerglings is any less.
Like right now, just for the purpose of this, I'm not actually looking at the where my guys are. They're just kind of moving. But if I look over there, I can see them there. But now I can like move over my Zerglings, bring them in.
Barbecue.
Just gonna set up some waypoints here. What I like about Sagara, her and Swan, where I think two of my like earlier characters that I played with. And honestly, the reason is like they're just pretty straightforward. Nothing too special about them. Like obviously, when you get them at a higher level, become like you can do a lot of fancier things, but it's not needed. Sagara gets a lot of the free units. Her as a hero character is actually really strong. And the cool thing with Swan obviously has his laser, but that's always a nice little bonus. So you're just passively helping. And these SCVs are kind of hugging the evolution chamber. They're a little creepy. I don't know why they're doing that. Might be having like some kind of like seance. Who knows? But that's StarCraft for you. Oh wait, the dancing. Look at them go. Oh, now they're at the spawning pool. But the real question is, what are they spawning? Oh, now where are they going? Oh, the dancing.
It's very hot. You want to, it's starting from there's so much lava. They just want to go for a swim in the spawning pool.
It looks like that surge is finally over with. Let's watch the commanders get back to work.
Oh, so we're getting a little bit of a double attack, so what I want to do is just pump out some Zerglings just to be close by. Start moving my units over.
He's about to have like...
Heck, make even a few Banelings just to get rid of them.
300 APM.
So I have a lot of my units at the top right there. Again, I don't even have to look at the map as much. I know I definitely should if you want to be special, but you don't necessarily have to, and that's the cool thing with Sagara on those low APMs. By the way, I can't hear CTG right now, but if you can hear me, I definitely would say make more of those low APM guides. People like me that can't really use my fingers that well, it just makes you feel like included. It's fun.
Okay, I'll do that.
You scared me. Sure thing. Yo.
Our allies are being attacked.
Now, one thing you can always do is Sagara, just in case those who are maybe a little bit newer to the Prestige, or maybe just to co-op in general. Sagara gets those free units, so you don't want to stay supply cap. Just throw your units into them sometimes, even if they die, especially when it's not a mutation and you can be a little more liberal with your units. Feel free to just throw them in, and honestly, if they die, they'll die.
The environmental stabilizer has reached the halfway point.
Now, cool thing, just so you know, when you look at your drones as they're carrying back the crystals, keep in mind you can always actually move them. When they're walking over that lava and you see the lava coming up, feel free to like put them up a ramp or something just so they don't burn. So right here, I'm just gonna keep him at the ramp, but you can control them. I remember the very first time I played the game, for some reason I just thought that once they started going, they went. Never bothered trying clicking on them. A little bit of a when I was new, of course. So now it's just kind of annoying.
And again,
now I have a little bit of a dilemma. I know that
There's
Sal's
not a
kind of
big
going to
PM.
spawn again, and I want to get him. But Donnie makes it seem like he's a bad guy, right? But I know as soon as I attack him, Donnie's going to change his mind, and I don't want to upset him. So I'm a little conflicted if I want to actually like get rid of Sal, or if I want to actually like try to get rid of him.
what did I put you every
A
year?
little conflicted. So I'm gonna send my units in. I know there's gonna be another unit there. Even like start sending your drone in a little earlier if you're feeling comfortable. In this case, probably not gonna clear it on first push, but well, actually maybe I am. They're a little bit stronger than I thought.
Our allies are being
Let's
attacked.
go at point.
Oh my god, this one Liberator's gonna be the end of me. I don't have any Scourge. Get him.
That's
Is there one
smart.
more? Get that one too.
That's smart. He lured the
I guess we'll get
The
back
Liberation
for that
mode.
attack wave.
the defender mode, so that the Scourge can close in without take damage. Very smart.
And don't do what I just did, and remember to upgrade your units. Alright, let's go catch out that attack wave. Oh, what the heck? They're doing a conga line at the freaking thing? Oh wait, they're dancing with my guys now. Heck yeah. Alright, I guess we'll go say hi to Sal, I guess, while we're here.
Spooky boy. I think that might be a nuke.
Our allies are being
We got some visitors heading for our base.
Oh, wait a minute. Where are you guys coming from? The one ghost.
Our seismologist believes the coming lava surge is reaching.
Kind of reminds me, I'm gonna put just a couple detection on the ramps. Anyone who's versed Terrans and heard the dreaded nuclear launch has been detected.
Oh,
We've all felt that
Didn't
before.
hear.
And if you haven't, then you're a better player than I am. I was remember first meeting.
The salamander has resurfaced.
Hello, Sal.
We don't editorialize, but
May not kill him this one run, I've just realized. Let's find out.
I'm guessing he'll end up around 108.
Yeah, and I'll probably have to come back for this guy. I didn't bring enough with me.
At least 108 PM.
So I'm just gonna spawn a bunch of Zerglings since there's always gonna be that attack wave.
Yeah, holding down the Zergling and Bane
And I'm gonna have to go catch
Lot
whatever
of
that is out there.
it looks like the surge is over.
Go catch the attack wave, get those crystals, and then sure I can come back for Sal if I feel like it. Oh, here's Ghost. I see him. I don't know, wait, we gotta do this the fun way. Bam. Just fun thing you can do is obviously you don't have to run your banelings into a ghost if they're invisible, but if you know where he is, you just click on him and press X.
Our allies
Now it's a little bit of a high APM move. I know we don't like high APM here, but definitely something you could do.
No, I game is spamming Zergling and Bane things.
allies are being attacked.
I'll pick up those two.
I know that is actually low APM. Think about it.
Oh, that Cyclone's outrunning my Zergling. Heroes are the hero Zergling died. Something about watching Zerglings just chase down a cyclone.
Earthquake only signals
Oh wait, run! Run, my Zerglings! Run to Sal! He needs a hug.
coming soon.
Alright, here we go. So just to kind of hopefully kill Sal a little bit faster, because we want him to have a nice painless death, because, you know, he helps the environment. We want to make sure that we get enough banelings just to blow him up.
Rainer saving this drone's life.
The stabilizer is 75% charged.
There we go. Nice, quick, painless death. You know, we don't want that. Whoops. Yeah, it's fine. They ran some guys into the lava there. It's good for the environment.
Was there really no other way?
Run, my Scourge.
They don't run, they fly. Get it together.
Normally what I'd like to do in a normal normal game is I like to kind of have my SCVs kind of on this ramp ready to go for the last wave. But in this case, just playing solo didn't really push as much in this area as I normally would, so just gotta clear it a little later than normal. Sakara is one of those characters, it's usually pretty easy to full clear maps, as long as there's no like crazy mutators. So it's one of those things that works out pretty easily.
This group of guys here.
Well, it's convenient that the attack wave's just close by to my army anyways. Helps the low APM, you know? You just throw them right on in there. There you go. We gotta go clear this bottom one. I think I already have a drone on its way down to this area, so.
Our allies are being attacked.
No, battle cruisers. I was gonna keep my army here just to. No! Killed my guy. That bastard.
Evil person.
Come on, Scourge, come get him.
And 4 is not enough.
I'll get there. Need a back massage, you know? There we go. Okay. You know, I guess we might as well full clear the map. There is something here.
We don't mind.
I guess we're not gonna do it on the first round. That's okay.
Desperate for attention.
That ghost ruined it. Run, drone, you're gonna make it!
Surge has come.
Oh, shit.
We'll have more after this
Get up this
short
ramp.
message from our
There you go.
sponsor.
This drone will be Jimmy, and he will be our best friend. We gotta make sure that Jimmy's alive. We named him after our teammate, Jim Raynor. We don't even want the other drone to get it. We want this guy to get it. There you go. Now at this point, I have like 3,000 minerals and gas just kind of chilling, just showing like how much you can kind of mess around with Sakara, just because it's one of those easier characters.
The lava surge is ending, viewers, but stay with us.
The chicken!
There's a lot more exciting.
Drones, get the chicken!
Allies are being
We got it.
The chicken.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
The chicken.
Our allies are being attacked.
Alright.
And there we go. Just like that again. It's one of those things where you can just do low APM, best map in the game. You get Donnie telling you that the Earth is flat even in like 3030, whatever year it is. You know, it's a good time.
Not sure about low APM. I'm not.
I don't know. I'm just
willing to
pressing
bet
F2 in a
You
movie.
have at least 100 APM.
Would I actually?
You had.
be surprised.
You
Well, I
had
guess
like
they're kinda
126 APM.
Did I? Oh wow.
That's.
Well, F2A moving in Zerg. I feel like Zerg's cheating just because I hold the Z button for Zerglings.
Yeah, but if you really watched my low APM series, you realize that I took 2 attempts with Zagar for low APM. Not
You
because I
did.
lost.
I do remember that. Yeah, I think you were at 62 or 64 APM, and then you redid it just to get it
Yes.
under
The problem with
under 60.
Zagara
Yeah, yeah.
is when you hold down the Zergling button, and you hold down the Scourge button, and you hold down the Bailing button, that's hundreds of APM.
It is. You're right, especially because I had like 7 or 8 hatcheries there, and I was just spamming them out, even though and just making even banelings and all that adds to it. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was wondering
But
if you
for
would just...
practical use, I do like the just hold F2, press A on the mini map wherever the stuff is, make a couple overlords for the detection for the ghosts, and you can get by pretty easily. So that's why I thought that would be a fun one to showcase.
It's very easy, actually. I was just wondering if
Mhm.
for low APM you would challenge yourself with just going with a hero solo, or just do bio launchers or free units or something. Because if you make units,
I do so sometimes. Yeah, because I like playing every character. I'm the type of person I don't like sticking to one character, so I'll play
Exactly.
anyone. Like when it comes to heroes, I really do enjoy like Kerrigan. I do enjoy I do enjoy like Super Gary, Nova, Tychus. Like
Who
those
doesn't
are
enjoy
probably
Super
like four of
Gary,
my
to be
favorite
honest?
ones.
People
Yeah,
who
Super
hate
Gary's kind
Stet
of
Boy,
cheating though.
people who hate Stet Boy just hate his Zerglings and the lag with the Stet zone. They don't hate Super Gary. Nobody hates Super Gary. Come on.
Oh, I
Maybe
love
Kate
Super
Lockwell
Gary.
hates Super Gary. That
Well, I
one
mean,
person.
Timothy probably hates Gary.
Yeah.
But, he's just jealous. He's just jealous.
Alright, let's actually move on to the second part. You did very well this first part. I'm impressed. I even liked your mic skills. I was wondering if you already
Yeah.
have your own YouTube channel.
I used to. I still technically have one. I used to be
There
a
you
commentator in like Smash Brothers and a pro Smash Brothers player. But
That
it
makes
was,
sense.
in all fairness, it wasn't the good Smash where everyone's like Melee or Ultimate. No, it was Brawl. So I used to be like the top ranked Sheik in Canada. But I used to go by the name Kong
Wow.
Metal. So if anyone's
Wow.
a Smash fan, I guess you may just be familiar with that.
I would probably be a fan of you if I played that game. Unfortunately, I played StarCraft since birth. I'm basically a StarCraft person. And now you'd
Yeah,
be wondering.
I've enjoyed StarCraft.
You'd be
But
wondering why it's
my
so bad
APM
at the
used to be a
game.
lot better.
Your
No, I
APM
mean
is
you're
fine.
good.
Your APM is fine, honestly. You ended up at 126 APM, more than my APM for most games. Most games I get at like 80 to 100 APM. You played...
I'll take it. I feel like you're being nice because
No, no, no.
I won't go into too much detail, but I had like 2 surgeries on my arm the other week, so I'm just like still trying to get back into it. So I'm getting there.
I only ever
just gonna
get...
take some practice.
I only ever get 100 plus APM if I play Zagara or Raynor, because those two involve a lot of holding down unit production buttons.
Gotta
that's
send out
exactly
all
what
the
it is.
Marines. Unless you're Rebel Raider, then all the battle cruisers.
Yes, and also the mules, also the spider mines. So that's a lot of APM. That's really not clicking fast. It's just holding down the button, which is why, again, hotkeys are the way to go. If you use the mouse for clicking every single command, you'll really think that APM, that getting high APM is hard. It's really not. It's just holding down the production keys. Anyway,
I feel like we should get a mod that shows us like it has like a Zerg like adoption, so as opposed to like holding down the Z button or whatever you're gonna use, just like count that as one action.
All right, now let's move on to the next part. Now we move on to the second portion of our interview. So we will have Dead of Night with Power Overwhelming and Gift Exchange. Once again, this is from Biomarketing's Mutation Suggestions. I have a video series for that if you want to check it out. Also, he wants to actually have it published on the live server. So if any one of you knows the guys who work on Blizzard, please have them get in touch with Biomarketing or me so I can get in touch with him or through you, or he could get in touch. Whatever. We will have Pidgeot.
Make it happen, guys. We can do it.
We have Pidgeot in the call, and now he will tell us how he will rank commanders for this one.
Yeah, we got some cool ones. I like gift exchanges because it always reminds you of like that Christmas mutation. So that's always a fun one to do. So when I like doing these abilities, what I like to, or these rankings, how I personally like to do it is look at the mutators, look at the map, and say, hey, what do I need from my commanders, and just go from there. I also don't like making those drastic changes. So the way, just to share my thought process with the with the viewers is basically this. I'm going to say, hey, you know what, Dead of Night, if we were to do a tier list without mutators, it'll give us a pretty good indication of what we're going to be seeing right now. But the mutators will make those commanders go up and down. For example, you have a shitty commander, if they're in the very last spot, no mutator is going to move them all the way to S tier if they're in like F tier, and vice versa. So I do think that a commander can be good at a mutation, but it doesn't necessarily make them a lot better just because they're good at handling a specific mutator. So in this case, we're looking at power overwhelming and gift exchange. Just to kind of remind everyone what that is, power overwhelming, when the enemies attack you and Amon's enemies attack you, they can kind of get stronger and have these random ability, or not get stronger, sorry, they'll have random abilities. So on a map like Dead of Night, as I'm sure you can imagine, that could become pretty hectic pretty quickly. And when we think of gift exchange, that one's honestly just more fun. You got to pick up the presents before Amon does. So you just want a little bit of mobility on the map. If I'm not mistaken, I think he will pick some up even if you are there first. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, you just want to get there a little bit faster. And of course, given power overwhelming, we want to make sure that the best way to deal with it, in my opinion, for this combination of mutators is to not deal with it at all. So if we're able to get rid of the units before they start using their abilities by doing damage, you're going to do a lot better than the other commanders. So that's really what I'm looking at here. So going right into it, if we're going to start with Abathur, I think Abathur would do quite well on this one. And the reason is, with especially with Deep Tunnel prestige, and even just the ability of his Locus and his Leviathan, just kind of dealing with things from long range, along with the fact that his roaches are ranged, so a lot of the melee units won't necessarily get to you as quickly as some of the other commanders, with the ability of being able to end the map fast, because that's the other thing I'd want to look at. The longer this goes, like the further the nights, the more power overwhelming becomes an issue because you're just going to deal with a lot more attack waves and a lot more guys at night. So the faster you can deal with the map will definitely help.
Agreed.
So when I think of Abathur, especially given like the deep tunnel and the long range, I'm almost tempted to put him in S tier, but I'm not there just yet. Personally, I want to put him in that A tier. Can there be made a case where I can move him up or down one? I would say yes, but I would say A tier is a safe bet for him. I think he's just generally good on this map. He has good pushing power. He has good turtling power, especially if you're not able to really depend or coordinate on your teammate, or with your teammate, sorry. So I think in his case, I would put him in A personally.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Alarak. This one's a little bit interesting. It's he has good pushing power, which helps. He has the ability to teleport back, but not necessarily to the gifts. Now, with a map like Dead of Night, you're pretty centralized, and it's not that hard to get anywhere. So you don't need massive mobility, but every little bit helps, of course. But I also don't want Alarak to push out, because he's going to take a lot of damage. Like a character like Alarak, who in this case, I would almost want to put him in a baby cage. For those who play Alarak, definitely know, like, when he takes damage and if he's about to die, he's gonna take his unit's health away. So in my mind, if he's trying to deal with power overwhelming, if you're not paying attention, and again, I'm a low APM kind of guy, but if you're not paying attention, that could go south really quick. Alarak could just kind of jump into a wave. You try throwing it, you don't do it properly. All of a sudden, you're taking a lot of damage without realizing it. Your arm is gone. So I'm not a big fan of Alarak on this map, but it doesn't mean I don't think he's viable. He can push really fast with a good teammate, especially if you're using like your Death Fleet, like his P3, like you'll push through quickly. Normally, you can get this map done on like night 2 with Alarak 3 if you're just not as comfortable with him. So I think he can definitely get through it pretty quick, which does work in his favor. But I also think he has a lot of those drawbacks, especially with power overwhelming and the lack of mobility. So in this case, can I make a case for like B or D? Yes, but I would definitely want to put him in C as like a good middle ground.
Okay, that's fair. I was actually afraid you were going to put him high. I'll talk about the things later, but I'll let you finish first. Arcturus, what do we have?
Yeah, I mean, feel free to always jump in. Like I always
No,
feel like
it's your
there's a
time to
case
shine.
for
It's your 15 minutes of glory. I won't take that away
it's
from you.
teamwork. Yeah. So now looking at sorry, I'm just looking at your list. You have Arcturus there. So for Arcturus, I do see him as like this is just one of the maps he shines on, right? Like he doesn't have to necessarily deal with power overwhelming as much as the other commanders because you can just deal with it from inside your base. Even if you're using his P3, technically your guys are just going to go in there and blow them up before they can technically do any damage. So even though that they're going to be killing your units a lot faster, it kind of works with that P3 mechanic. Obviously, it's not going to be as good, and you might run into some income issue there, but definitely doable. But of course, just dealing with it with just bombardment, like you're fine. I don't see this being an issue for Minsk. He's going to do quite well. And the fact that he can basically just drop units on top of the gifts wherever they are on the map gives him a big plus. The fact that he just has a phenomenal pushing power, can push at night, can defend at night, like whatever you need him to do. I think he has a pretty good case for an S tier, to be honest. Like I think like you can definitely make a case for A, but for me, I'm pretty comfortable putting him in S as long as you know what you're doing with him.
All right. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Artanis.
But in all fairness, Binks is always kind of the safe pick, but he's a fun one. Now Artanis, it's a love-hate relationship with him. As much as I love Artanis as a character, he's just not super strong. Just in general, I would say he does have like his uses. On this map, though, his mobility is going to be a bit more limited than others. His turtle capabilities, he doesn't have like the best cannons. His reapers can probably do, or scarabs, I guess, like calling them, could do quite. It can help, but I don't think they'll be enough with power overwhelming, especially if it gets to the later nights. He has decent pushing power, but it's not like the rest of the commanders. Especially if you have like your little spinning zealots, just to try to push quickly, depending on the comp, or even at night. But I feel like melee kind of struggles a little bit more than others, like compared to range at least, just because that power overwhelming and just the numbers game will catch up to you over time. So I have a few concerns with Artanis. I am a fan of the commander, so it kind of hurts me to do that. But can he do the map? Sure. I feel like every commander can do this one. It's not too challenging. It just it can snowball quite quickly. It's just lucky that Dead of Night can be done relatively fast. So as long as you're doing that, I think anyone works. But with those weaknesses in mind, I would probably have to see Artanis in D tier personally.
D tier. Okay. Moving on. Dahaka. Where do we have him?
Dahaka, the Driftwood champion. I love him. So
What?
he has this line at the end. He's like, "They are Driftwood," and I always
The
call him the
Driftwood
Driftwood
champion.
character. Yeah, I just call him the Driftwood guy. I love it. He's like, "They are Driftwood." So big fan of him. He has worms that could teleport around the map. He has his primal contenders so that you can have his pack leaders, at least one almost always available. He has units that have range. He has good pushing power. Does he excel at one more than more than anyone else? No, but he's really good at all of them. So I think he's very versatile in this case. I think the Haka himself will have a little bit of issues, but you don't necessarily need the Haka as much. Like he'll still be able to function, he'll still be able to do his thing, but he'll just need to be a little more careful, especially with power overwhelming. So you can kite with your abilities. You don't want to use your slapstick as much in this case. But I think he'd still do well because of his top downs, because of his worms, because of the fact that he has a lot of units that can deal with this, and he also has mobility to get around. I think he's quite strong. I'd put him between A and B personally. I'm just trying to think which one would make more sense for him. I think for now I'll put him at B. But there is a case to be made to be like a low A tier, but definitely B tier is a minimum, so I'd be comfortable putting him there.
All right. Moving on. Phoenix.
Phoenix is a fun one. So the cool thing with him is similar. He kind of gives me the same vibes as Dahaka, but on a lower scale. So, for example, he does have a bit of mobility with his top downs, especially if you're using his P1, where like he just kind of goes everywhere. He also has the ability to build more ranged units to try to deal with power overwhelming before. He has his cannons, nothing special about them, but they still help, especially on the high ground sections, so that they don't. He tries to just whittle down the zombies before they get to you. And he also has a decent pushing power, especially with I would say P1 and P3 are the two I would personally want to use. P1 just so you can use Phoenix or Talondar himself, whereas in P3 you can do something even like your Colossus or your carriers or even like the scouts. Like their pushing power is not terrible, so like you can get by and you can have that mobility. But of course, he's not necessarily as strong um, in any of those areas. So Phoenix is one of those characters, like I mentioned at the beginning, um, just because he has the tools to deal with the mutators doesn't necessarily make him a lot better. It just means that he can deal with it like he's playing the map normally, pretty much. So with that logic, I would probably put him. I would say between B and C, but given that I don't see him as strong as Dahaka, I'd put him above Alarak in C.
Okay. Interesting. Moving on. Han and Horner, where do you have him?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a soft spot for them because they are probably my favorite commanders, just because they're just fun to play. I know they're not necessarily the strongest,
There are two of them.
but in this case, yeah, and there's two of them, so it's like you get double the commanders for the price of one. So it always helps in that case. So with Han and Horner, what I do like about them, they have some similar features to Artanis, similar to how I kind of saw Dahaka and Phoenix, but more seeing Artanis and Han and Horner, but maybe a little bit more of a gap. So what Han and Horner have, they have the mag mines to deal with the issues before they get to your base, and of course like the jumpers, which is always annoying on this map, but that's just a little bit of bias there because those guys annoy me. You also have your ships that are going to be able to hit from range, and of course, once they get their upgrades, they're basically like your little Terran carriers, so you can push as well. The cool thing with them, similar to Artanis, is you can build or make not Artanis. When you think of Minx, like they can basically solo Dead of Night normally without leaving the base in a couple nights. So they have the speed to do this just by bombing things from inside. Their units also allow them to defend, and when I think of like their Widow Mines, when I think of even like their Hellions, with them dying, they have their death effects. So they do quite well. So and they also have mobility across the map, which is nice. So I think in their case, they have all the tools they need. They're generally just pretty good at this map, just by being Han and Horner. And the power overwhelming and gift exchange don't really hurt them in any way. So it just kind of gives them a pretty good position for these two mutators. Especially just if you don't if you're not able to coordinate with like a teammate and you're doing it solo or with like a random. So I think they do quite well in that sense. So with that, I would probably put them in B tier. I would say like top of B, bottom of A, but I would kind of see her closer to Dahaka than I do Abathur.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah. So for Karax, so the cool thing with him is not only does he have normal photon cannons and shields, he also has his monolith. So if you're really struggling, you have the range, which is nice. And then he
Nice.
also has units, so you get them going, to deal with things from range. He takes a little bit of time to get going with his units, as I'm sure anyone who's played Karax knows, are quite expensive unless you're using the prestige. But I don't think you want to give up your defensive structures in this case. So he has the tools to go with it, but the one thing working against him is you want to do this rather quickly. And if you're just depending on Kirax to push as well as defend, he has some issues because it just takes him a little bit longer to get going, which again can snowball, depending on how your teammate is doing. So he does have the tools, but his drawbacks can be more of a risk for him than it can be for some other commanders. So I am a little bit concerned there. So that one's definitely going to be an issue for him. But doesn't mean he can't deal with the map. I just don't think he's going to deal with it quite well compared to some of the others that'll be above him. With that in mind, he does have a bit of mobility. He can clear with his top downs like quite well. Like he can do a lot of work with just his top downs. So given all that, and especially just like the safety of his defense, I would put him between B and C, but I'm leaning more towards B because I feel like he's offers more than your Alarak and Phoenix, but less than the Han and Orners. So I would put him at the bottom of B there. Okay.
Moving on, Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Yeah. So Kerrigan, I'm a fan of. I know with Dead of Night it does hurt her a little bit with the worms going out, but it doesn't mean she doesn't have mobility. So I think she does have the mobility to get around. If she needs to go somewhere at night, she definitely has the ability, especially just like having her Omega Nidus worms. So I think those will be quite helpful. It also helps you tank, so it's just generally good for her. Can I use it as well as some other maps? Not as much, but still quite good. She also has the ability of just Kerrigan in general. So she has the ability to really just kind of CC her opponents, do a lot of damage really quickly, whether using P3 or just like regular Kerrigan. So she can deal with things before power overwhelming becomes an issue. In the early nights, I think later nights it might become more of an issue, but that's for everyone. But I think early on, since she has that pushing power, it focused more on that for her specifically. With her units as well, she has pretty decent pushing power, so I would see her being able to clear within the first 2 to 3 nights just on average. I'm sure you can do faster if you're working well with your teammate. But even just like with her, let's go ahead.
That's what she said.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, like with her Zerglings, Ultra, I guess Hydras if you need like anti-air, or even like the Mutalisk just to kind of get around if you want to like mass those to push really fast. Not to mention she has Mutalisk Broodlords to deal with things without taking damage. She has like the basic defensive structures if you need them in terms of the spines and spores, just like deal with things from range. The one thing I'm just not a huge fan of is Zerglings Ultralisks are going to be in melee range, so during the nights that can become an issue if you don't deal with the map quite quickly. But the thing is, she can clear quite quickly. She moves around quite quickly. She's kind of on a timer, unlike some of the other ones, I would say, just because her melee units will become an issue defending. But I feel like the first few nights she'll be just fine with, even if it's just Kerrigan, especially when they don't have like the other entrances open. And the fact that she has her ranged units to deal with like the smaller numbers. So I think she'll do quite well in this. And the fact that she has the worms to get around for the bots, for the gifts, to get like the boxes around the map. I think she has everything she needs, and she's just generally strong to push. And of course, she has the ability to herself stun and just like clear waves all at once. So again, dealing with power overwhelming is just not dealing with it for the most part. So I do see her doing quite well. I'd put her either in A or B, but just as we were just quickly discussing, I'm seeing Kirax in B, and it just kind of hurts me that I didn't put him in A, so I'd probably want to move him up to A. But I would see Kerrigan. I'm debating between A and B just because she has all the tools and she pushes enough, and just her passive to help your teammate with like extra money is always just a nice plus, especially in a map like this. So I'd want to put her at I would say top of B, bottom of A. Kind of between the two, and I don't know which one I want to do. I'm gonna go with that's true. I'm gonna go with A if I can move Karax up to A, because I can't put her above Karax.
You can't put
So
her above
if I can do
Karax.
that, I can't put her above Karax. I made the mistake with Karax where he should be an A. So I would move. I'd
Alright.
move them both to A. Like that's kind of what I would do. Karax definitely above her though.
Alright. Moving on. Nova.
Yeah. Nova. Another one where I have a little bit of a bias. I'm a Nova fan. I know not everyone is, but I like Nova, so that's just me. But so Nova's a fun one on this map. Now, normally what you can do with Infiltration Specialist is you can just kind of keep going out at night, which is always fun. I'm sure if anyone has P3 Nova, they probably tried this on this map. It's a fun thing to do. You just go out, you can keep pushing.
Yes.
There's not a lot of there's nothing they can really do with your super stealth, which is really nice, and you can clear the map quite quickly as a result. The other cool thing with Nova is she has the ability to defend pretty decently. She's not like a top tier defender like some of the other characters, but her siege tanks are great. She has like the like lots of ways just to defend. Even like her base turrets, I have a decent range, and since Nova herself can solo the map pretty much just in the first couple nights, you don't really have to worry about getting overwhelmed from more than like the two sides. Of course, if just like anyone else, taking time bomb as time goes on, it gets a lot harder. So with Nova, I think she does have the ability to push. She has the ability to defend. So she'll do quite well there. She also has the mobility to get around the map, not only through her super stealth, but of course her top bar lets her do that. So she has the ability to move around. She can call down units anywhere. So it's quite. She basically has like the full skill set just to do this quite quickly. Even if you're not using her P3 and just like doing something like Soldier of Fortune, you can build up an army quite fast to push. So if you're using like your starport and you got your ravens, you got your banshees, you'll push quite quickly and be able to defend at the same time. So she does have some versatility there. And of course, if I'm missing something, that just means that she has like two options to deal with it, which is quite nice. So I see her as quite strong in this map. I would see her in a similar spot as like a mentality I would see for Kerrigan. So I'd be comfortable putting her in A tier as well.
All right. That's fair.
Mm.
Moving on. Rainer. Where do we have him?
Yeah, so we got Jim. Jim's a fun one to play. He's just kind of cursed with just never being at the top of these tier lists, unfortunately, and I don't think that's going to change here. So with Rainer, he does have the mobility, which is nice. So you have like your drops, you can drop them anywhere. But the thing is, his units individually, like if you're dropping them there, you're just going to give the enemy. Like you're not really going to deal with the enemy. You're just going to trigger the power overwhelming. His Marines, although they're great, if you're going like bio, they're not super long range. So with power overwhelming, it can become an issue. Even with the fire bats, like you'll be able to deal with it again the first few nights. He can push with bio or mech, but again, he's not as fast as everyone else. So he will, assuming you're not depending on your teammate, you'll probably go past night 2. Again, his Hyperion, his Banshees, you could push like well, but it's not going to be something that's as good as some of like the people that I'm going to put in like S or A tier. So he's quite good in terms of the pushing power and the mobility, but the drawbacks are power overwhelming can get to him. Can he deal with like the negative gift exchanges? It becomes a little bit harder for him. Can he defend at night? Like he has his bunkers, he has his turrets. Like he has like the toolkit, but it's just a weak toolkit. It's just the unfortunate problem with Raynor.
Can he? Tell us.
I'm hoping he can. Like I feel like anyone could do any of these maps and mutations for the most part. With Raynor, when I think he's defending with his siege tanks, his widow mines, his like he has
Widow
a toolkit.
Hold on, widow mines?
Did I just say widow mines? Am I having a brain fart?
Apparently.
I am. The spider mines. Sorry, I said widow mines.
Oh,
it's the spider
okay.
mines.
Yeah, he does have.
Yeah, like, yeah. I was just about to say, I'm like, what's wrong with me? It's almost 1 a.m. here, so I'm just Just
That
a little
makes
bit of a brain
sense.
fart there. Yeah. So he has the spider mines. He has his siege tanks. Like he has like the kit, but it's just not the strong. I don't see it as like as strong as everyone else. I think it's just the Raynor issue of can do everything but can't do anything super well. So, but the plus side is this map and mutators kind of need a bit of balance, but um, I just don't think it justifies him going super high. So I would kind of see him between B and C. I'm probably going to put him personally in C tier.
C tier. Okay. Moving
Yeah,
on. Step
I feel
boy.
like there's a case to put him at B, but I just can't personally do it. It's just Raynor issues.
Step boy. Where do we have him?
Oh, that boy has to be S rank because he's Stetman, but just kidding. So with Stetman, so he's really fun. Just in general, I feel like everyone loves Gary and Stets, but when we're thinking of this map, you need mobility. Does Gary provide that along with his units? Yes. Does he provide you like support for you and your ally? Yes. Can he push quickly? Yes. Can he deal with power, like the random abilities from Power Overwhelming, plus get to the gifts? Yes. Can he defend at night from range to try to just not deal with Power Overwhelming? It's just like the best way to deal with it. I would say yes. So he gives you everything you need. I'm a little biased just because I feel like Stetman just has that strong kit, kind of the opposite of Raynor. He also has the units. It's like he has flexibility. He doesn't have to go Zerglings as much as we may love using Zerglings. Like he has the ability to just like throw little roaches from afar, or to use Hydralisk, or to use his like range sky units. Like he has everything he needs to deal with this map and to deal with it safely. And he also has just pretty strong pushing power just to get it done quite quickly. And being Stetman, he just has like the side bonuses to kind of help you get through the nights, even if you do have to go past night 2 for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You'll have like the support to push to help both you and your ally and just like heal most things. So I do think he has everything he needs, and he's a character in general. So I think that keeps him quite high. I would put him actually. I was going to say A, but the more I'm thinking about it, I actually put him in S. I would say. Like I'm going to put him in S tier with Minx just because he has everything he needs. He's not too like technically demanding. I feel like anyone uh, can get by.
All right. Stukov. Where do we have him?
Hmm. So Stukov is an interesting one in this case. He has the ability to defend with tanks, but the issue he's going to have with Power Overwhelming is he's going to send units in to kind of have that issue. He doesn't have the same mobility as some others in regards to getting across the map, because his guys are just going to walk on over there. Yeah, you have the ability to use some of your starport units to try to circumvent that, but that Power Overwhelming becomes an issue for him. He also he has the other issue of not being able to build up as fast as some of the other characters. One of the things I really like here, or for this mutation, this mutations and this map specifically, is you want to get it done in that night 1, night 2, night 3 at most. With him, is it possible? Sure, but it's a lot more challenging because it just takes him some time to get up his bunkers, his multiple barracks, just to be able to push faster. But those first couple nights are a bit slower. He also does have that issue where he may not be able to get to the box, so you're depending more on your teammates or trying to like micro your units over there. He does have some ability to defend, and he can kind of keep pushing, but again, depending on kind of your RNG with Power Overwhelming, that could become a bigger issue very quickly. And I think with him, he doesn't have the luxury of some of the other commanders that are going to be higher than him here of being able to deal with it by not dealing with it.
Yeah.
He's just basically, how do I deal with it? Throw
Punching
my
through
units
it.
into them, let them die again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and punching through it just going to be a little bit harder.
That's what she
Yeah,
said.
he's naturally, I would say, she says that a lot, but he does have the ability, like naturally, like he's such a strong commander usually. But when mutators hurt him, they hurt him a lot,
They
and
hurt him a
that'll
lot.
apply to some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Letter.
so I don't see him. I don't see him doing as well. I know usually I don't see them moving as much on the tier list, but unfortunately for Stukov, it does hurt him a little bit more. Can you try to play his Prestige where you're not even use like your mech? You can, but if you're playing Stukov, you really just it's very rare to need to use that and do that, and it also just weakens him and makes him just not as strong as a lot of the other commanders or even himself.
All right.
So I see
Letter.
him quite low in this case. As much as it pains me to do this, I'd put him in D tier with Artanis.
Ooh, that's pretty low actually.
Yeah.
Swan, where do we have
Yeah,
him?
I was thinking C, but the fact that there's so much RNG for him just makes it so inconsistent because of overwhelming that it just kind of knocked him down to D for me, just because you can't control that. So it's no longer just a skill issue, like on how well you can play him. It becomes how much is power overwhelming going to just get you, or if you can't get to the boxes, what gifts is Amon going to get? And all of a sudden, it's much more RNG based than most other commanders. So it just hurts me for Stukov there.
All right. Swan, where do we have him?
So Swan, I am a big fan, just in general. So I actually kind of like Swan in the same way I like Karax, whereas I do think Karax is a bit stronger, but I do not want to underrate Swan. Swan has the ability to defend. He has mobility, especially with his race if they go stealth. He has the laser, especially even if you're using like. Not saying you should always use P1, but if you're using P1 in this case, it just gets rid of the little guys a lot more with the AoE. And again, my favorite strategy for dealing with power overwhelming: don't deal with power overwhelming. And he has that ability, and he also has his top downs, even if you're not using his P1. So he's quite just passively good. He also has range, so yeah, he has his flamethrower, but he also has like a longer range guns as well to kind of keep him relatively safe. And the beauty of it is repair things for free, and I feel like that always goes underrated. So as you just repair things for free, you also get like your free Vespine gas for you and your allies. In this case, you get 6 quite quickly. Which, when you're trying to end the game faster, doesn't seem like a lot, but every little bit helps, of course. So he does have the ability to passively help both offensively and economically for both you and your partner to kind of help get it done faster. He also has the ability to push, not as well like offensively like during the day as other commanders, but he still can quite well. I feel like when you think of the like the campaign equivalent mission where they like use the Hellions and do this map quite quickly, like he has the ability to use his Hellbats, he has the ability to use his Goliaths, he has his ability to just use Wraiths if you want to be more safe and be
Against
stealthed
power
and not.
Really? Okay then.
I've done it before. Power overwhelming. It's a little bit of a pain, but it's definitely doable. Like that's the one where you're going to need to micro a bit more. But he can push decently. Not as good as others. Again, like in terms of offensive, that's not where he shines. Defensively, he can do quite a bit. His top downs are good, similar to Karax, but not nearly as good. So I feel like his top downs will definitely help. Or again, the passive of P1 if you're doing the AOE damage.
Okay.
So I feel like he has everything he needs.
Letter.
Yeah, but just not nearly as good. So I want to put him almost in A, but I feel like the lack of ability to push hurts him a bit. So I don't want to see him in the same, I guess, tier as Karax, just in case I know a lot of pick between the two. So I would put him in like a strong B.
Strong B. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Tychus,
All
where do we
right,
have him?
Tychus has mobility, has the ability to push, doesn't have the ability to defend. Power overwhelming hurts him. Usually, I feel like he's just strong in most mutations and most maps. The RNG, similar to Stukov, but not nearly as much, hurts him a lot more. So in my case, I would also put him in B tier, just to kind of keep it, I guess, quick.
Okay.
Like, can I make a case for A? Definitely can, but just because of the RNG, I'm gonna put him down one.
Okay, moving on. Vorzun?
Yeah. For Vorazun, Fan. She has like Rayner syndrome, I guess I'll call it. She
Rayner
has the
syndrome.
ability. Yeah, she has things going for her, but she's just not strong. Like, she needs a tune-up. Like if I was, they were still patching this game, I think she needs a little bit of a buff. So she has the ability to push offensively. I think it's good, especially with stealth, depending on the comps. But even then, you can still deal with it. Time warp, phenomenal. Just ability in general. Her defensive capabilities, she has some units that do long or mid to long range, I guess, with the void rays. So she has some defensive capabilities, but they're not super strong. I know she has her cannons, but they're just base cannons. She has her stealth, like Dark Pylon, which does definitely help quite a bit. But of course, it's like you can't depend just on that. And her offensive capabilities, like her units, like she can push, but she falls in the category of can she push? Yes. Can she push fast enough where power overwhelming isn't an issue in the later nights? It's a little more dependent on your teammate. So I feel like she has a kit to deal with this, and she definitely can. Can she deal with it as well as the people above where I'm going to put her? I don't think so. Does she just generally do good on this map compared to the other commanders? Not as much, just because it just I feel like that's the Farzun, like Raynor, Artanis kind of, and Han and Horner potentially. Like, I would say those four like issue.
All right.
So I feel like she's strong, but not not like as strong as like a lot of the other commanders will be. So definitely usable, but not super good.
Letter.
I would put her in. I'm gonna go with C tier. I could
C
make a case for
tier.
B, but C. Yeah, I would
All
make a
right.
case for B potentially, but I'm gonna go with C in this case.
Two more. Zagara, where do we have him?
Yep. Sagara, just played her, definitely a fan. But she has similar issues as Stukov, where Zergling Invasion definitely does help in this case because you don't want them to do damage to you. Your units kind of go kamikaze, definitely helps deal with the random abilities from power overwhelming. However, throwing a lot of units into it does hurt. The one thing she has that really helps her though, especially if you're able to build up your army in day one, like before the first or before night one ends. Sorry, so before day two starts, you're very much able to clear. And I feel like I've seen you do this in your videos too. You can like clear basically half the map in like 10 seconds. Like you just kind of go like through the left, go up. Your banelings kill all the units, not having to worry about power overwhelming. Zerglings stay behind and deal with the base, like the buildings. However, when they blow up and then you're going to have the little guys power overwhelming, that becomes an issue. But typically,
Yes.
she can push quite quick. So in this case, like, does she have pushing power? Absolutely, that's what she does. Does she have mobility? Sure, she has fast, but it's not like a teleport or jump like a lot of others. Can she clear? Yes. Can she defend? That's where her issue is going to be because her units are mostly melee. Defending in night can snowball, unfortunately, quite quickly against her. So, as much as I am a fan of Zagara, with power overwhelming, I feel like that's going to be an issue for her. Like I would love to put her in B tier, but I feel like I can't even do that. So I'm going to put her in C. Like I would probably say probably the top of C, but C nonetheless.
Okay. Last one. Zertul, where do we have him?
Yeah, Zeratul's another fun one. I feel like he's another favorite. Cool thing with Zeratul is he has almost everything you need. His stealth isn't super stealth like Nova, but same concept where he can kind of go out quite a bit. He can kill a lot of units just from range, especially with P3. Just you don't even have to be like close to them. You can just throw tornadoes from far away. He has mobility to pick up the boxes. He has his turrets, which give him both offensive and defensive capabilities. So the cool thing is you can kind of go a strategy of like put turrets all around your base and during the day push really fast. And he has in general, I'm not sure like what the rankings would be, but I'm sure he's probably one of the fastest ones to clear Dead of Night. Just in general, he has a really fast clear time for Dead of Night. Just with his units, his turrets. Like he has a few strategies there, so he can move quite quickly. And the fact that he can get the boxes, and the fact that he has defensive and offensive capabilities, I feel like he is quite strong in this case, and he's not dependent on his ally. And because he can push quickly early on, like he doesn't need to scale up as much as some of the other commanders. I would go between S and A, and
Which
honestly,
tier?
just to make the chart look a little prettier, I'm gonna put him in S tier because I feel like he has everything he needs, and he can um, kind of support just by existing. So I think in his case, like he has a good case for either bottom of S or top of A, but I'll put him in bottom of S in this case.
All right. I think that should be everything. So okay, so I actually like Pidgeot a lot. He can talk, and he's actually really good at describing what he thinks. So much so that we went like an hour over, not an hour, like a lot of minutes over the planned time, and we're now over an hour into the recording. But general thoughts, aside from the fact that he can really speak and really articulate what he thinks, he kind of dwelt a little bit too much on the map itself and the commanders themselves, but he doesn't really get into the interactions with the commanders and the mutators themselves. When he's talked about RNG, it's very vague and doesn't really say things that can go wrong or can go right. For example, he didn't talk about things like how everything is free can affect commanders like Raynor and Artanis and Horner and guys like that. Or he didn't talk about how things like killbots would affect commanders like Alarak or Karax even. And I know that the commanders are generally where they probably should be. But my general thoughts, Alarak, for example, first, he didn't even mention that the first gift will be an issue for a lot of commander. For example, Alarak might be in trouble if he can't get to the first gift with the overcharge, and it turns up with killbots. He's screwed in the first couple of minutes because he can't get a hero there in time. And the the Death Fleet, as powerful as it is actually pretty susceptible to all sorts of splash damage from power overwhelming. I didn't hear him mention, or maybe he did. I just didn't hear it, or it wasn't focused on enough. Dahaka, he put Dahaka in B tier. I was actually thinking Dahaka should be in S tier because pack users are immune to a lot of stuff that the enemy can throw at you. And Dahaka is one of those commanders that can absolutely contest the first gift because he's out at a minute. And at 3 minutes, when the first gift spawns, he can just camp it, devour the enemy there for biomass, or for essence rather, get the gift, get some sort of power. Even if it's just a queen, it's still something that can help defend. And the creeper hosts are pretty good, good at offense and defense. You can also have the impalers there, primal worms. He's really good at this map, and it baffles me why he only put Dahaka as high as B. I probably would have considered for S. Horner, he went on a lot about Horner can go on offense, but only at the very end did he mention how they might struggle with defense. And he wasn't even definitive about it. He was kind of wishy-washy about, can they play defense? Can they do this? Can they hold on to that? When you're the guy on the tier list, you should be the one telling us whether they can or they can't in general. You can say that they can, but they will struggle. That will present enough ambiguity and let the viewers know that they can still make it work, even though it'll be more difficult than other commanders. But when you say that, oh, can they do it? Can they not? Like, I don't know. You tell me. You're the guy on the tier list. Karax, at first he put Karax in B. I was like, oh my Donnie, Karax is criminally underrated at B. I thought A at most. S. I actually had Karax started at S, but I do concede that he may, depending on where the first gift is, he may have a little bit of trouble contesting it if he can't get a probe there in time. And also the phase shift ability and the disruption wind ability will both affect how well his cannons perform on defense. That being said, he's amazing on offense because he can just put a Mirage out there or an Observer, siege up where they can get vision of the infested structures and just wail away with Solar Lance. He barely mentions that and only mentions it at the very end. And I feel like that should be the focal point of discussion, because when you just sit there as Karax, you're not really helping win the game. You're helping survive the game, which is important. Not taking away from that, but most all characters players already know that. What the value of this discussion should bring out is how you don't actually need to push out on the map with any units. You just need something that gets you vision, an observer, a mirage, even a purifier beam will get you that vision for your Solar Lance. Nova, he kind of mentions Ravens and siege tanks. He didn't mention Liberators, which is kind of a strange choice. Liberators are one of those things that can absolutely outrange a lot of the enemies and deal so much damage that they can knock out a lot of the strong enemies, like the chokers, the hunterlings, the kaboomers. With enough of them, even the stanks. Of course, you still want siege tanks and spider mines for that. And I definitely feel like Nova is an S tier here, not an A tier. He even said Nova bottom of A or something. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misheard. Nova's definitely an S tier for me because she can not worry about offense. She doesn't have to push out. And he did mention clearly that the best way to deal power overwhelming is to not deal with it. Like, Nova is the epitome of not dealing with it. You just send your hero out, use some sabotage those airstrikes, don't have to worry about anything from power overwhelming. That being said, you do still have to contest the first gift, and you can get screwed by the kill bots if you are unlucky with the first spawn. I'm guessing you can contest first gift with either Marines or an airstrike, a well-placed airstrike, but yes, you can have an issue with that. So maybe A is reasonable. I would still put Nova in S despite that, because there are ways to contest the first gift as Nova. You can just, like I said, airstrike or drop Marines at it. Or just even put a defensive drone. That will contest. If it's something like Zerglings, just put a defensive drone over the gift. It will contest it. It won't actually transfer to Amon until you have something there. Raynor, he didn't even mention bunkers. Bunkers I know they're not as good as Arcturus' bunkers, and they can still absolutely get phase shifted or cancelled or disabled by the enemy's power overwhelming. But I feel like you should mention that it's integral to Rainer's defense. But yes, Raynor generally I would say he's actually D. But he was very vague with Raynor. He went into seemingly everything Raynor has in his toolkit, but doesn't really mention anything that Raynor should focus on. Like, if I'm Raynor here, if I were doing this, for example, I would say Raynor, he should focus on defense. That's what he's good at. Bunker, siege tanks, and then use Hyperion to clear out the hard enemies, or to contest far gifts, and then clear out a little bit of the map, and then Duskwing should be clearing buildings. That's what I'm expecting from a tier list discussion, not like go into everything Raynor has in a vague manner without really saying how it interacts with the mutation. So, I feel like he could have done a much better job with Raynor, considering the amount of time he took to go into detail about everything Raynor has, seemingly. Tychus, he doesn't mention that Tychus is going to have a hard time for defense, especially if it goes late. If it goes into Night 4, for example, Tychus will have a certain difficulty defending all 4 entrances, and also watching out for things like distraction web, making his units just not attack, and contesting far gifts. He did mention that. He did mention that Tychus will have difficulty contesting far gifts, so point for that, I guess. But again, he mentions RNG and is very vague about things that can go wrong. He doesn't mention killbots, for example, which will absolutely destroy Tychus. He doesn't mention transmutation, which will be a major issue for Stukov. He doesn't mention, I guess he does mention splash damage, but there are a lot of things that he could have got into more detail about that are actually relevant to the mutation. He went a lot of detail, but I feel like the detail was kind of extraneous almost. Like, it doesn't contribute to where the commander should actually land as regards to how he or she interacts with the mutators. I feel like I want more of that out of a guy who will commentate on the tier lists. Zagara took way too long to mention defense. Didn't mention bio launchers. Didn't mention how she'll just run out of steam. Although, that being said, I think he also should have mentioned that Zygarde is one of those commanders who can absolutely contest the first gift strongly because she will have Bailings out by then. And Zeratul, come on, you can't go Zeratul on Dead of Night and not mention cannons. That was the first thing I expected him to say, and it actually didn't get mentioned. He said turrets, not cannons. Come on, oh my Donnie. And one more thing, he mentioned that Swan would have 6 gas drones early. And that sends alarm bells right away to me because you don't go gas mastery as Swan. You go laser drill mastery all the time. Why would you forego the instant damage output or the damage burst upgrade you get when you get concentrated beam? And again, for pulse cannon, just the clearing power you have allows you to just fly out with a Hercules or a couple of wraiths or even a couple of structures, and then just get vision, then use concentrated beam, pulse cannon, or even just wail away using the laser drill. Come on. Anyway. My overall assessment, he did very well in the solo portion. He's very good. He's a very good speaker, and he can articulate what he wants to articulate. But my general impression is that he probably should work a little more on how he describes how the commanders interact with imitators. But that's just my opinion. Of course, you guys could really just like what he says regardless, and let me know if you think Pidgeot should be in the tier list discussions. Again, if you want to submit your own application, go onto my Discord. The link to my Discord is in the description below. There is a section there for tier list applications. Just let your application be known, and I'll interview you, and you'll be on YouTube. There you go. All right, guys. See you next time.